I think I need one of these. Or is it one of these? Ooh, lime green. Need it. It fits.
Are you doing it right over here?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I remember what my dad once said. If you don't know what you're doing in electrical, hire a professional. They are insured and they know exactly what they're doing.
This is ridiculous. We need more light in this room. Hi everyone, it's Tina from Black Rabbit Homestead. Today we're going to talk about lighting. If you haven't noticed, this room is dark. It's our living room, it's the main room we're in, and we need to brighten it up. As you can see, we have a dark floor, dark stone, dark walls, and a dark ceiling. Our main light in this room is this fixture, and it's just not casting enough light into the room. The windows in the room face east and west, only letting in morning and afternoon sun. And then we have this globe. It's up against the wall, it's in an awkward place, and it really doesn't shed much light. There are a whole bunch of options. There's sconces, floor lamps, table lamps, ceiling lights, can lights. So the light I've chosen is an ultra-thin recessed light. It's slim, it's gorgeous, it's modern. It's LED, so it's bright, energy efficient, and this one is dimmable. Not all LED are dimmable. The cool part about this light is all you need is a hole. These fins will go up, spring it into place, so you can install it virtually anywhere. And it's very easy to string multiple lights together. With older lights, you had to install a clunky junction box. The new junction boxes, wires get connected here, this gets plugged into the light, and then it can sit simply into your ceiling. No more mounting. So, two main hurdles that we have to contend with. One, we need a hole to put the light in, and that's no problem. We have power tools. Luckily, they usually include a template. You can trace it, tape it, whatever you need to do, but that's the size you need. The second problem being that we need a power source. Now, it's not going to be a big problem for us since we're going to be using an existing lighting source. But if you have to start a new one, that's when things get a little bit more complicated. Remember that old dome light? We're going to use that as our starting point for our new recessed light. And since it has power, it makes our job easier. So our plan is to put 10 lights into the room. 5 between this beam and 5 between the other beam. We've measured and marked, and we've put an X on our blue tape to where we're going to be placing our lights. Now originally, our starting point was going to be that globe, but since it's so close to the beam and the wall, it would cast a harsh shadow. Now we're still going to be using the wires from that one, we'll just be patching a hole later on. You want to make sure there's no existing electrical or plumbing up there. Now, in our case, this is just a crawl space, so there's just insulation. If you have a plaster or drywall ceiling, you may run into framing. However, these ultra-thin LEDs can still be installed. So now that we've cut our holes in our ceiling, we have to run our wire in between them so that we can attach our lights. Now, there might be some confusion as to what wire you should use. This is where you can consult your manufacturer, you could talk to an electrician, or you could even go to the hardware store. There are tons of associates to know what they're talking about. Now, if you've never done electricity before, this is often called Romex, and there are 2 numbers on it, usually numbers like 14.3 or 12.2. I'm just going to explain it real quick. The first number is the gauge of the wire, and the second number is how many wires are in them. The smaller the number, the bigger the wire. Now, even though this is 12-2, you'll see 3 wires in it. The black wire is the hot wire. This is the wire that carries the electricity. The uncoated wire is called the ground, and this white wire is the neutral. The ground is not counted in the 12-2 designation. If you're new to basic electricity, you're going to need one of these. This is a stripper and crimper. It is so handy, it makes the job so much easier. This tool works by cutting off small bits of the insulation. Since our wire is 12-2, we line this up and find the number on the stripper side. Insert it in that groove, close, and spin. You only really need a 1/2 inch or less. So we're going to take a look inside this junction box. We're going to flip the lid and we're going to pull out the 3 wires inside. Just like the 3 wires the Romex. Hot, which is black, goes to black. The neutral will go to the white, and the green one is for ground. If you see here, inside the push connector, you'll see 4 holes, one of which is taken up. This is for the light. You can use the others for a power source or connecting other lights to it. In order to connect these, we're just going to push it through the hole and then use a little force. And it's in. Now with these particular ones, there's a little pinch fitting to prevent it from coming back out. So in order to get the wire into the box, we need to push this thing out. And you can use a screwdriver to lever it out or your finger. And just push it back like that. In order to secure your wire to the junction box, use a wire connector. And you can find these in any hardware store. You just match up the diameter of the hole in the junction box to your connector. It's real easy to install. You put the screws on the outside, slip this in, and then use your nut to secure it all. So our next step is to fish our Romex wire from one hole to the next. To save us a step, we already assembled some of the junction boxes so that we don't have to assemble in the air. So at each hole, we need to install a junction box. So let's install this one while we're up here. You can see that we have a little extra wire. This is no big deal. We pre-measure everything so that we have a little slack to work with. All we're gonna do is push the extra up there with the junction box. Leave this little wire dangle and then move on to the next one. So the wiring you just saw before was to the end of a run. This one has an in and an out, so I need to fish this one in that direction. All our junction boxes are up, connected, and ready for the lights. All except that one. There are 3 wires being used up here. One for the light, one to the other run on the other side of the room, and one for this run on this side of the room. All that's left is to bring the power wire into this box. We're not going to install the last wire in the junction box just yet. We're going to install our lights. all we have left to do is run the power from that globe into that box. Now, what we need to do is go downstairs and flip our breaker. You don't want to be working with any surprises. Flip the breaker. The breaker's off. We're going to test it by flipping this switch. This is the part where electricity gets dangerous. You assume you're safe, and you assume all the wires are dead. But you never know what the last person did before you. So you remember how dark this room was. I couldn't even read a book without a flashlight. But now, grace, honor, praise, and light are here our sole delight. Of them we make our song. Our limbs are sound and strong. This blessing fills us quite. Grace, honor, praise, and light.